Imagine it's 6 a.m. in the morning. The sun is rising and you're walking along the waterfront at Darling Harbour in Sydney, Australia. You're talking with fitness industry colleagues from across the country and across the globe. You're exchanging experience, ideas and stories with some friends that you already know and some that you have just met for the first time. That feeling of excitement, of friendship and activity is exactly what our meetup events are all about. And you're invited to join us for the FBP Family Meetup that is happening this April the 12th at Philex 2019. For full details, listen in after the main interview.
It's not as much about, providing a different advice as it is to make sure that it is personal. Because the personal human connection is invaluable. The ability to have the assurance that what you're providing to me is relevant to me at the moment in time when I'm asking it is invaluable. And I think for the audience that we're talking to, that personal human connection, knowing that the advice that I'm getting are relevant to me and where I'm at the moment that I'm getting the advice, I think is one of the unique competitive advantage of gym owners because it's that human connection.
Welcome to episode 225 of the industry's leading business podcast for fitness owners and managers. We'd like to thank this month's premier podcast partner, Gym Sales. Gym Sales gives your sales team the tools they need to capture, nurture, and convert new members. Visit gymsales.net to find out more. Hi everyone and welcome along to the show. My special guest for today's episode is Steve Lesnard. Steve was formerly the Vice President, Global Brand Marketing and General Manager of Experiences at Nike. He has over 20 years experience leading high-profile business growth, global brand campaigns, product launches and strategic partnerships across sports, technology and lifestyle. During my chat with Steve, we talk about what type of consumer data can be collected. We chat about what brands have used consumer insights to stand out from their competition, where to get started when collecting data from our members. We chat about scripting a clear customer journey. Plus, Steve shares 3 ways that a fitness owner can enhance their customer experience using data. Now we're about to transition into my chat with Steve, but first a big thank you to our podcast partner, Gym Sales. Gym Sales allows you to plan, implement and monitor a proactive sales strategy that is automated and uniform. Give your sales team the tools they need to capture, nurture and convert new members, making it easier than ever before to grow your member base. Visit gymsales.net to find out more. Enjoy this week's interview with my special guest, Steve Lesnard. Steve, welcome. Thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
When it comes to consumer analytics, what type of data can actually be collected on consumers, and talk to us about how that data is actually obtained?
Yeah, I think consumer behaviors, are now being often tracked online. Anywhere you go, I think the sentiment of privacy is becoming more and more relevant as you can get tracked on every click that you create online these days, and that allows you to actually get a lot of relevant information about the behaviors, the interests, or the habits of your consumers. Providers like Google offer many services to help reach your desired target. I think for me, the ideal scenario is when you can track consumers' behaviors in your own ecosystem. It being your website, your apps, your store, because it really provides you with a unique and personal way to really understand what your consumers, do, what they act on, what they like, which allows you to, provide the most personal and relevant services for them.
So you talk about capturing that data within our own businesses. For anyone that hasn't gone through that process before, can you give us a bit of an idea of how we actually go about obtaining that data?
Yeah, it started in the old retail days with that little black book that consumer, that business owners had, creating simple profile about their best customers. And I think that insight can be scaled today, leveraging any technology that you have. So whether it's a store that you own and you create a profile for each of the members of that store, or you then develop a website, or if you can, you also create additional mobile tools linked to apps. You're creating them with the intent to capture consumer data so that you can leverage it to deliver more customized and personal services. I think would be the way to go.
What's some of the information that you might look for about your customers?
It's a great question, and I think for me, I go back to some key principles around what is the purpose of the company, the product or the service that you're trying to offer first. Because if you're very clear on the product or the service that you're trying to offer and how it's going to be unique and helpful for that consumer, I think that will help you, be very clear on the type of data that you're looking for. I think the second point is, for me, being very clear around the consumer you're trying to reach, being very clear on your target. Because once you know exactly the target that you're going after, and you know the key benefits that your product or service are going to deliver to that target, it then allows you to create a little bit of a net for which you can cast the right consumer and create what I call the super users. The super users are your consumers who are going to benefit the most from your product or your services. These consumers are going to become your most loyal consumers. From my experience, they also are going to be your most profitable consumers because they're going to be the one that will use your service the most and the most often. And they will also be your biggest advocate because they will talk about your company and its product or services and help you recruit other customers. So to me, this is how I always think about how you leverage data. Be very clear on the product or service that you're trying to offer, why it's new or different, or frankly, what's the value that it brings to your consumer target. Second, be very clear on the consumer target you're trying to reach first and make them your super users. Obsess, learning and, by servicing them the best because they will help you grow and sharpen your proposition with a broader consumer base.
So, Steve, as I mentioned to everyone up front, you were formerly the Vice President of Global Brand Marketing and GM of Experiences at Nike. And during your time in that role, you looked after it and initiated the Nike and Apple collaboration. Can you give us a little bit of insight into that? Give us a bit of a behind the scenes as to how that came about and what was involved in that collaboration?
Yeah, of course. One of the things that we realized as I was, working in the running team is that a lot of new runners, some people call them fitness runners, were running with music. And that was at a time when, the iPod was very popular, but also at a time when in most, official races, music was forbidden. You could be disqualified from running a race, when you were wearing, a music device. But what we realized is in order to get more people into the world of running, motivation through music was really important. And that's how the collaboration between Nike and Apple came about. Leveraging Nike's, performance and innovation ability to create product for runners with Apple's unique technology, I would say, knowledge to actually create a device that would allow runners to get real-time feedback on their run. So Nike and Apple created a chip that was embedded into a Nike shoe that would allow a runner to get real-time feedback on their pace, distance, while listening to tunes that would motivate them. And that's how the community came about, leveraging the power of two really powerful brands to deliver better experiences for consumers and also invite more people into the world of running.
I find that so fascinating. I had no idea that partnership started back in that kind of recognition of people needing music as motivation. And I think that's really an interesting thing for us to think about as fitness professionals and gym owners, is that what are the pain points of our customers? What are the things, and you touched on it earlier, what are those things that they need to get them into the gym, to get them to stay longer during a workout? So it really does come back to understanding our customers' needs, understanding their pain points, in order for us to start to deliver and to sculpt the right solutions for our members and for our customers. So thank you for sharing that example, because I think it's one that we're all familiar with, but it's so fascinating to know where it actually started. So Steve, in your experience, once we're able to gain customer insights, how do we go about then driving personalization within a business? And are there any examples you can share with us of really any businesses that have absolutely personalized their delivery for their customers based on data analytics?
Yes, of course. One example. So I spent a lot of time in my career in and around the running world. And I remember a couple of years ago having a meeting with partners at Google to try to continue to leverage data insight that they had to service consumer better. And I remember during that meeting, the Google team said, hey, we have done a lot of research, on the world of sports. And the gist of it is that there's no brand who's really listening or answering to consumers' needs. So that really, got our attention, and we wanted to know a little bit more. So we asked, so what do you mean? At the time, that's a few years back, they were telling me that in Europe alone, in 1 year, there had been over 500 million search on running. So 500 million search on running. And the three main questions that consumer had were, number one, how do you start running? Number two, what do you wear? And number three is, how do you train? Fundamental, simple questions that were completely overlooked by the industry, who thought that they were, already talking to expert with a level of understanding of the sports, that none of these questions were truly answered by any major brands. And so when you look at data of that magnitude, reminding you of some of the most core or simple, needs that consumer have, can help you completely reshape your approach and your experience in and around them. If you think about it, like as a brand who wants to get into the world of running, how do you establish yourself as being an authority to help guide people in their running journey, never assuming that they know what they're doing? And what we found is, whatever level of running you have, if you want to progress, there's always that, I would say, genuine sense of being open to coaching and to understand how to get better or how to start running. Then, comes the age-old question around product. What product should I wear? If I do a running class or a running, session, or I go to the gym, is it the same product? Is it the same footwear, the same apparel? What kind of support do I need if I'm, a female athlete? These are really, really important questions for consumers, and brands make it really hard for them to find answers and real solutions to these questions. And then the last one is, how do I train? Where do I start? How do I know if I'm doing it well? And how do I know if I'm making some progress? And do you have any tips in case I get some injuries? In the world of running, injuries is always a fear for people who love to get out and log some miles, because it prevents them from running. So this simple analysis from Google was, I would say, a little bit of a cold shower, a big awakening for me and my team to actually rethink, the main, I would say, communication strategy and services that we should offer to the running community.
If right now I'm a gym owner or I'm a personal trainer running my business and I've just listened to that information that you've shared with us, I feel as though there are two things that I would do based on what you've just said. The first thing is having a look at the questions that we're asking our customers. So right back at the start of our conversation, you were talking about how sometimes it's, yes, we need to collect data and we need to collect insights, but sometimes it's about getting back to basics and, chatting with our customers, interviewing our customers. And I might just remind everyone, we had a great interview with Amanda Bond, the ad strategist, who talked about just, who's all about Facebook and communicating with people there. But she said the same thing. Sometimes we just need to sit down and find out what it is that our customers want. We need to have that conversation and get back to basics. And then the second part, so that's action number one. The second part that I'm hearing, Steve, is that we need to be content creators in regards to answering the questions that our customers have. So it positions us as the expert in the areas that they most want to know about. Does that sound like two reasonable actions for people to take based on what you've just talked us through?
I would totally agree with that. And I would even add that, working with a lot of great coaches who help, fuel the running community. I remember one of the coaches telling me that, he probably would give, anywhere between, they would have 10 to 12 advices that he would recycle a lot to most of the runners, from elite runners to, everyday or first time runners that he would give to. But what he told me is that it's not as much about, providing a different advice as it is to make sure that it is personal, because the personal human connection is invaluable. The ability to have the assurance that what you're providing to me is relevant to me at the moment in time when I'm asking it is invaluable. And I think for the audience that we're talking to, that personal human connection, knowing that the advice that I'm getting are relevant to me and where I'm at the moment that I'm getting the advice, I think is one of the unique competitive advantage of gym owners, because it's that human connection. And as you said, make sure to keep checking, never assume, because your consumers move on and they might have different objectives or different challenges. And so checking in on a regular basis, like the coach that I used to work with used to call them system check. How are you doing? How do you feel? And what do you want to do? And asking this question on a regular basis help you continue to stay up to date with what your consumer really needs.
Yes, that is a great piece of advice, Steve. Thank you. Now, I was reading a presentation outline that you were doing, and in that outline, you talked about scripting a clear customer journey. And I think we've kind of dived in and out of this already a little bit today, but I would love to hear, your definition of what it means to script a customer journey. And perhaps you can also share with us an example of what you mean by that.
Yeah, of course. As we were discussing a little bit earlier, understanding the broader picture and broader motivations of your consumer will allow you to provide the right services at the right time and make it as personal and relevant to that consumer. And as a result, turn that consumer into a loyalist, a super users that will, come back and also be an advocate for your brand and your services. So let's go back to the world of running, because, this is one where, I think that could be a good example. If you think about the world of long distance running and marathon runners, there's, millions of them every year around the world. And it's a journey and a commitment that at least, takes 3 months in some runners' life, sometimes even more. And if you dissect the stages, that runners go through to get ready to start, a marathon, it really teaches us, or it taught me and my team, unique opportunities along the way to be very relevant with consumers. The first one being, as a runner, first you're thinking about which race you want to go after. Then, you're applying to that race. Then comes a moment where you know that you're in, when you get the confirmation that you're officially in that race. And that is a unique moment where a brand can come in and offer services. Because the first question is that, or reaction some runners have is, oh dear, I am in. Now what? What do I do? What do I wear? What do I, when do I start training, and how do I train? So there's a unique opportunity at that time for, to offer, specific services around product, training, and and different services. Do I join a run club? Do I join a gym? Then, you get into the training. And the training typically will go over a couple of different seasons. And depending on where you live, the seasons can be quite different. So the way you train in the summertime, let's say in the northwest of the U.S. or in New York versus you get ready for your New York Marathon and you get into the fall and holiday time, the environments, the product needs, and sometimes even the motivations are going to need to be slightly different to continue to motivate you through that journey. And there will be some ups and downs during that journey. What happens if you miss your first long run? Have you ruined your complete training, or how do you rearrange around it? So the idea of holding, your customers' hands through the process, provides rich and meaningful ways to connect with them. Then come, race day. And one of the questions runners have is, what do I run race day? Let's take New York as an example. It could be really hot. It could be really cold. It could be rainy. So what do I pack? And what's the right, options? So great opportunity to help runners not only gear up, but also help them, with, all the logistics around hydration and food along the way. It also is an opportunity to invite, runners, communities to cheer them on and support them through that journey. Then comes that finish line. That crossing the finish line, another great moment for celebration and unlocking, celebratory, I would say, benefits that you could offer for them. It's also a great opportunity to use that runner to help motivate other runners to actually join and complete their own races after they've seen their friends, achieve it on their, by themselves. And then comes the last piece, which is the recommit phase. What's happening with that runner after that marathon blues? How do we get them to sign up for another challenge, another fitness challenge, and maybe include other friends or runners along the journey? I think the running journey to me is a really interesting one, and I think it's the holy grail of many brands, which is trying to understand the different stages and be as relevant and personal along these stages to deliver the best product and services for them. And I think that could be applied to many other examples.
Steve, I was so excited listening to you step us through that customer journey, because I just feel like there is absolutely so much relevance to our member journey and thinking about mapping out exactly what it looks like from the moment that new member is just even inquiring for the first time, thinking about joining our facility or thinking about starting to exercise, and how important it is that we put ourselves in their shoes and truly understand what it feels like for them to go from that very first thought, that very first kind of idea that they want to step foot into a facility or start exercising, and what it feels like for them and what that journey looks like for them. So my action for everyone that is listening today, or my first question for action is, have you mapped out your customer journey? Have you scripted out your customer journey to the level of detail that Steve just took us through in that running example? And then, of course, your action, if you haven't done that, is to do that and to truly understand what it feels like for our members or for our personal training clients to go through that journey, and what are all those touch points along the way, and how can we assist them and how can we support them, and really thinking about that. I think that is such a important and fundamental part of our customer connection journey. So, Steve, I want to thank you for taking us through that level of detail. What a fantastic example that you just shared with us.
And now for this week's Fit Inspiration.
Steve, for you today, I was hoping that you would be able to share with us 3 ways that a fitness business owner can begin to build their brand and to enhance their customer experience using data insights.
Yeah, I think maybe I always like to start with being very sharp on the product or service proposition that you want to be known for, that you want your customer to say, this is what I experienced and this is why I will recommend it. I think it forces everyone to be really sharp on what they want to be known for, what they want to be famous for. Then I would say the second point is be very clear on your target audience, like we discussed today, and make sure that you focus on your super users, the people that will come back, that will be loyal customers, and that will be your loyal ambassadors. Because understanding who they are and what makes them loyal will help you sharpen, what you're going to be famous for. And last but not least, build a membership. Get them to share their data. Don't be afraid to ask on a regular basis to update, their data, what they want, what they like, what works, what does not, what has changed, so that you can deliver the most relevant and personal service to them.
That's 3 great pieces of advice to finish on. Steve, I do want to ask you just about that last point that you mentioned, because you said you used the word membership in there, and we've talked about proactively reaching out to get data insights from our customers or to get feedback from our customers. And we've also talked about looking at their online behaviours and their social behaviours to get that data. When you reference the term membership, help me understand a little bit more about what you mean by that.
Yeah, I think membership, in the context of let's say a gym owner are going to be the customers that will come and use the facilities or the services. So it's the idea of making sure that you create a profile on the people that are using your products, and creating a profile on these people first, and making these people your most loyal customers will, I think, teach you a lot about the services that resonate the most with them. And as a result, you can expand and then target other potential, members or users that could join your ecosystem and benefit from the product or services that others have already benefited from. Does that make sense?
Yes, it completely makes sense. Thank you for explaining that. Well, Steve, this has been really fantastic. I've particularly enjoyed understanding the personalization side, that great example that you shared with us around Nike and Apple. And I absolutely loved, you could probably tell I absolutely loved scripting that customer journey, because I just think it's something that we all need to do in our business if we haven't done already, and you articulated that so beautifully. Steve, a huge thank you for joining us on the show today and sharing your experience with all of the listeners. Now, if anyone does want to reach out and to connect with Steve after the show today, I will make sure that I put a link for his contact details in today's show notes over at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. And Steve, thank you so much once again for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Get ready for this week's bonus segment, your extra injection of information, education, and inspiration to strengthen your fitness business.
I want to say a very warm welcome to my special guest this afternoon, Andrew Simmons from Filex. Andrew, welcome, and thank you for chatting to me today.
Thanks for having me, Chantal. Excited to be here.
I've been attending Filex for about 10 years now, and it feels to me like every single year it just gets bigger and it just gets better, and I'm particularly excited about this year's event. So tell everyone about Filex 2019.
Well, Filex 2019 is going to be the biggest one yet, we believe. We've got so many great presenters coming from around the world. There's also homegrown presenters that have been in the industry for many years. I've been at Filex now I started in 1995 at Filex, so it's basically now, I think, 24 years in. And I wouldn't miss a Filex, because this gives you a great opportunity to connect with the people from around the world who are doing the best things in the industry. So I just keep learning and growing all the time. And it's no different this year. We've got over 250 education sessions, which are in many, many different strands. So whether you're a personal trainer, whether you're in group fitness or you're in business, you get extreme value out of this. We've got some great keynote speakers as well that are coming in. Churia Pitt, you may know her for overcoming adversity, as well as an industry icon in Matt Church. He started out in the industry but has gone on to become a professional speaker and is amazing at helping people grow their business, but actually inspire movement in themselves. And we've called it Inspiring Movement this year, just so we can get people to move, not only in their careers, but also the community, and help them move better.
Now, they are fantastic highlights. The keynotes I'm really looking forward to. Talk to us about a couple of other highlights that we can look forward to at Filex 2019.
I think there's many highlights. We've got some great presenters coming from overseas in different strands. We've got Sarah Cooperman who's going to come in and talking about Aqua. Aqua's back. We're really excited to have Aqua back this year.
So a lot of people are going to be very excited about that, Andrew.
Absolutely. So, we've got many other great speakers, especially people who are actually on the coalface doing it. That's what I really like about Filex. It's not about people coming in just sort of talking about theories, but it's all about them actually on the coalface, whether they're group fitness instructors who are in the gyms doing their thing, or whether it's someone who's just basically growing their own individual fitness business. They're sharing their secrets about what they do on a day-to-day basis. So it's got flavours for everybody, this FILEX. So I find myself jumping from session to session because there's so many great ones that come about. So I'm really excited about all the different strands you can go to.
I could not agree more, and I'm a little bit biased, but I am particularly looking forward to having the amazing Chris Stevenson coming over from the US. Absolutely. And Mark Fisher. I can tell you right now, they are two speakers that are not to be missed, and as you mentioned already, Sarah Cooperman's going to be incredible. And I've got to put in my own plug and tell everyone, all of the women out there, to come along to our Women's Summit, because we have an amazing lineup of panelists this year. I have the absolute honour of hosting the summit this year, so that's going to be a great event. And this year, our Women's Summit is of course, part of the main event, which is really, really exciting. So it's easy for everyone to get to. So I encourage you guys to check that out as well. So, Andrew, give us a bit of an idea of who should be attending this year's event.
Well, I think that's been, for me over the years, it's been something that's been great for me at every single level, because there's so much diversity you can get. I mean, I remember early on when I was focusing on being a personal trainer and a group fitness instructor, I would simply go to those sessions. And then as I sort of moved throughout my career and I realised, hang on, I'm actually running a business here, I just go to the business strand instead. And for a while there, I jumped between the exercise sessions or the science sessions behind exercise and nutrition. I go to those ones and then skip to the business sessions, whether it's around sales and marketing, whether it's around social media, or it's leadership. There's so much diversity there. So it really suits people at all different levels, whether a group fitness instructor, a sole personal trainer, a manager of personal trainers, or a team of trainers, or group fitness instructors, or a business owner. There's something there for everybody, a whole strand there for everybody. So I think it caters for the whole industry.
I couldn't agree more. Now, onto the super important details, which of course, what date is this year's event, where will it be held, and how do people go about registering?
Well, it's all about we talk about world-class presenters in world-class venues. So we've got world-class presenters coming to present. So we're so excited about that. But the world-class venues are Sydney ICC. Obviously, the new convention centre that's been open in the last couple of years, this is an amazing venue. So we're obviously partnering again with the fitness show next to us. So it gets you a chance to see what's going on down there, as well as the equipment suppliers that are around. I've always found it's really great. The trade show has always been really great for me to see what the newest gear is that's around, whether it's fitness equipment or as well as the latest workout gear. It's always really exciting to be there. So it's at the ICC from April 12 to 14. We can't forget the Business Summit though, and the pre-convention before that. I'm emceeing the Business Summit this year, so I'm excited about taking that role. And I know the Business Summit's always huge. We had a fantastic event last year, actually hosted by you, Chantel.
That's right. I'm excited to be able to sit back this year and watch the meetings.
Thanks. Yeah, so I'm excited because we had a great lineup of speakers for that as well. And those who are interested in getting more details, simply go to filex.com.au where you can register.
Nice, easy URL to remember. And of course, guys, we will also put that link in today's show notes. So, Andrew, it was such a pleasure catching up with you. As I said at the very beginning, I'm so excited about FILEX 2019. You have done a phenomenal job getting together fantastic speakers for this year's event once again. So thank you for joining me today and telling us all about this year's event.
Welcome. Thanks, Amy, Chantel. I can't wait to see you at the event.
You're all invited to the FBP Family Meetup on Friday, April the 12th at FILEX 2019. If you're not familiar with our Meetup Walks, this is an active networking event. We walk and we talk for 45 minutes and return back to the water fountain outside the International Convention Centre in Darling Harbour by 6:50 a.m. The meetup is totally free and it's a sensational way to start your day. Now, we do need to know attendance numbers, so please jump over to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, go to the top of the page and click on the tab called Meetup. Then register your details for the FILEX Walk. If you need any more information in the meantime, please email me directly at chantal@fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Team Rockstar Fit is an award-winning mastermind team that helps fit pros lead happy and balanced lives. Get mentoring and support. Learn how to grow your business online with Beachbody. You can apply for a free consultation today at teamrockstarfit.com.
PreCore Quickfire 5.
This week's PreCore Quickfire 5 guest comes all the way from the UK. She's the CEO and founder of Too Fat to Run, Julie Crefeld. Julie, welcome along. Thank you for joining us on the show today.
I'm so excited to be here.
We start off each of our interviews with a PreCore Quickfire 5. So tell everyone, why do you do what you do?
I do what I do because I spent such a long time feeling alone in the fitness world.
And what's one ritual that helps you become better at what you do?
I journal every day.
And are there any apps or systems that you use to stay in control of your workload?
I use lots of different apps, but I adore using a paper diary.
You'll be surprised by how many people say the same thing. And are there any books, podcasts, or blogs that you would recommend, and why?
I'm an avid reader. I read so much, but I love The Universe Has Your Back by Gabrielle Bernstein. I think it stopped me from really kind of catastrophizing my life.
Oh, interesting. We haven't had that one before, so I'll look it up and pop the link in the show notes. And just give everyone a bit of an insight into the topic that we're going to be focusing on during your main interview.
Sure. So I'm really interested in talking about how you build a tribe of loyal and excited customers. Well, not just customers, but fans, followers, partners, and people that just really want to see your business grow and do well.
Well, I'm really excited to talk to you about that topic. And I have to say, because everyone was probably on edge when they heard your first answer to why do you do what you do, I want to just assure everyone that we will be talking about that. I just don't want to give away too much just yet. So we're going to talk about that in your main interview. And Julie, thank you for joining me for the PreCore Quickfire 5. Are you interested in increasing your centre's income and your trainer's income from small group training? Tribe Team Training is the new way to get more members engaged in small group training and paying extra. Click the Tribe Team Training link in the show notes or go to tribeteamtraining.com.au/podcast for your free formula to see how much income you can make from small group training. Thank you for joining me for this week's show, and a quick reminder that, of course, all the resources and the links for today's episode can be found at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. A big thank you to our foundation partner, Active Management. And as a listener of the show, you have a special opportunity to work with JT from Active Management. You can get one free session when you buy one coaching session. No matter where in the world you are, technology allows him to work with you. So just go to activemgmt.com.au/FBP family and work with JT to get more people moving and moving more often. Once again, that is one free session when you buy one coaching session, and it is exclusively for you, the FBP family. Go to activemgmt.com.au/FBP family. Thank you once again for joining me today. Remember, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.